Guys, we're back.
There we
Oh, it's
go.
been too long, guys.
Oh,
Seeing you
It's
again.
like we just
Yeah.
recorded an episode or something.
Yeah.
About 140, an hour, 30 minutes about all the news from Gary Bettman yesterday.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not Gary Gould. So I guess sometimes when you guys just say Gary, I get confused.
So do I. So do I. Don't worry.
Was that a pre-show thing of like, so Gary's thing, and Tanya's like, Gary Gould? And not
Our beloved professor.
the commissioner of the NHL. I don't know if I ever showed you guys this. So I got this pen for Christmas, right? It was at the warehouse I worked for summer break. And there's a button on it, and it actually projects. You can't see it too well, but in the dark you can see it actually projects the Habs logo. It's really it's like the bat signal, but for the Montreal Canadiens.
You put it
But
up
for
in,
Carey Price.
you
Yeah.
put it up in the you put it up in the sky, and Carey Price shows up at your house.
Yeah, it's like I'm here to save you, man.
He
Carey-
he flies from British Columbia.
Yeah. Please, we need a goaltender to save us from our lack of scoring. Please help. We need an elite player. Too bad we can't get them in skaters. Anyway, guys, we're not talking about Star Wars yet. That will happen on Sunday. I know, guys, I'm waiting as well. But it's time for us to look at our original plan for today's episode, or Sunday's original episode, and that is another redraft. This time we're looking at 2003. Headliners such as Anthony Stewart, Dion Phaneuf. In all seriousness, guys like Eric Stahl, Shea Weber, Patrice Bergeron. A very interesting draft with some fantastic second rounders that should probably be a lot higher. Or will they? Find out next time, or right now on
Find out next time.
Dragon Ball Z.
Adam, you seem so excited to do a redraft.
I'm more excited in the fact that my lightsaber is getting here tomorrow, and that's what's keeping me going here. And that
Not us.
It's more that when I see you guys when we're doing redrafts, I look at two people and I think these are two people that are trying to get my brightly lit soul and dim it to the point of non-existent. Okay, I feel like when I do these redrafts, my soul gets closer and closer to non-existent because I hate them. Because as a host and the garbage, I'm gonna lose it because we had motorcycles last episode, and the garbage truck just happens to freaking be here. Like, what was I even saying? I hate redrafts because as a host, it's like every pick, this damn truck. It's like, Alex, good pick for number 6. How about you, Daniel? And okay, I'm gonna mute myself because this garbage truck. You guys talk.
Okay,
talk
why don't we
whatever.
do? Because I know Daniel and I probably have tons of honorable mentions. I don't know if Adam has any. I can't tell by his facial expression. No? Okay. So why don't we go through our honorable mentions? I'll go first, if you don't mind. Ryan Kessler sadly did not make my top 10. Very unfortunate. Did not make my top 10. Sucks to be him. Ryan Sutter also did not make my top 10.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yes. There's other players I would have had. Dustin Brown. Right? Dustin Brown. Did not make my top 10. Thomas Vanek did not make my top 10. Neither did Dustin Byfuglien, okay? Deal with it. He would have been in 11th. Sucks to be Dustin Byfuglien. Don't screw over Winnipeg next time. Jeff Carter, sorry, didn't make my top 10. And my last 3. Anthony Stewart, I was going to put number 1. But I'm sorry I couldn't. Same with Paul Bissonnette. If we were doing hockey media personalities, top 2 right there.
Yeah.
Last but not least, the man, the myth, the legend. I remember when he was traded to Toronto. I remember the day he was traded from Toronto. Dion, the Pylon, Phaneuf.
Is that a Dion jersey you got on, or is that Johnny T?
No, it's John Tavares.
That's you coward. Coward.
I don't have
Daniel.
a Dion Phaneuf jersey, but I should definitely get one.
We'll look for it. We'll go vintage buying for those when it's safe to do so.
no one was more vocal about how difficult a draft this was going to be more than you, Daniel. So how many honorable mentions do you have?
Quite a few. So
The rest of the
going
first round.
like what I kind of felt with this draft was, this is one where, I was still really little when this happened, but this was the draft I always remember. Like backstory is like this was 2000, 2003 was the year I really got into hockey. Like we talked about the Mighty Ducks run. We also talked about like, I was like in kindergarten or something when Salt Lake City Olympics happened. Even from the Cape Breton Screaming Eagles, I followed Marc-Andre Fleury. He was always my guy. So my honorable mentions, and this was actually a tough one because if we asked about this, me even 3 years ago, it would have been different. I think personally, because a lot of these guys they were cornerstone guys, but these guys that they're kind of at the tail end of their careers now. So my honorable mentions, in no specific order, are Brent Seabrook, Mike Richards before the drug scandal,
Before the cocaine?
Yeah, Joe Pavelski before he went to Dallas.
Wow.
Louis Eriksson before he went to Boston. Tobias Enstrom, Dustin Brown, Thomas Vanek, Dustin Byfuglien, and Dion Phaneuf. Oh, and other notes is Nathan Horton, because I remember how dominant he was. How dominant he was before the injuries. He was like that prototypical power forward that, back in the day, the top and heavy teams wanted, like the big guy that could score.
Yeah.
And
now he's stuck
as
on
much
Toronto.
as and when he went to the Bruins, he was like a guy that he just fit into that system so well.
Yeah. And now he's just like David Clarkson sitting on the IR.
Yeah. It's crazy to look back on that cup window. Like they had Lucic and Nathan Horton in their top six.
They could do whatever they wanted.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it was Nathan Horton who got the Game 7 OT goal versus the Habs that year. And not a lot of love I have for Nathan Horton. Okay, so do we want to go 1 to 10 then? Or
Yeah.
10.
Let's
Okay.
whatever you want.
All right. Who wants to go? Alex, you want to go first or Adam?
Are we doing 10?
Yeah, Alex?
Sorry, what are we going? 1 to 10? Very organized we are
I
here.
don't mind.
Number 1. I still have Marc-Andre Fleury going number 1 overall.
Why is that?
3 cups. He was pretty much... Yeah, he had Crosby and Malkin, but you still need a goalie, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Maybe
There's no reason in it.
And this year maybe he had a bit of an off year. His last year in Pittsburgh was a little bit of an off year, but he has been a pretty darn good goalie.
He got 2 coaches fired in the same year.
He ended
3
Mike
cups.
Babcock in Toronto.
Yeah, he got a coach fired on the other team and started the downfall of hockey culture. Okay? Let's just remember that.
Man, that glove save,
I'm not
I
making
remember.
fun of it. It's just the truth.
Nick Patan not putting enough zest and accuracy behind a shot changed hockey as we know it.
Think about it. The guy that Mike Babcock hates on the Leafs got him fired.
That's a very good point. Alex, dang it. Daniel, who's your first overall pick?
I also have Marc-Andre Fleury. I kind of hinted that already, that not as a bias kind of thing, but watching him from Cape Breton and watching him with his yellow pads in the World Juniors, I knew how dominant he was. He didn't, to be honest, he didn't become that generational type of goalie I thought he was going to be, but he still became an all-star. He still put up the stats. He was consistent. I think it was a blessing he kind of went to Vegas. He showed he could still play. He showed that, he's just not an overpaid backup.
Yes.
See, I took a really bad time to eat a strawberry lace there. Oh boy, it's a sweet. Don't worry.
What?
Okay.
Is that a motorcycle I hear?
Oh, probably. I'm sorry.
Vroom,
My
vroom.
house is. Excuse me. The thing about Fleury that I really like, before I get to my first overall pick, is the story of, I think it was when he was in if it was Kate Brenton or something, I can't remember. And he had a bad game when he was pulled. And the backup goalie, I guess, for the team had to track the face-offs, right? And so after the game, Fleury hands his clipboard with the information to his coach, and it just says, "I'm a goalie, I don't do math." And he's just one of the nicest guy in the league. He's really a star in Vegas, the donuts and all that kind of stuff. I love Marc-Andre Fleury. Unfortunately, I don't even have him in my top 10.
That's what happens when you don't put Marc-Andre Fleury in your top 10. You spill water on yourself.
I know.
Well, few shows here. It's not my good side.
So who do you have at number 1?
Well, Alex, I don't feel like telling you.
Okay, so who do you have at number 2?
So at number 1, I have Patrice Bergeron.
Okay.
Whoa.
I think it's arguable. It's not even arguably. I think this is the best two-way player of all time. He puts up great offensive numbers the older he's gotten, which is incredible. One of the just most consistent players this generation.
Yeah.
And a good-looking dude. The only Bruin we can all tolerate, French Canadian. So I love Patrice Bergeron. I really, beside my just unwavering love for him, I just think there is a legitimate argument that this guy's a first overall pick.
Oh, just for sure.
And what he's meant to the Boston Bruins. Patrice Bergeron is my first overall pick.
But just to be clear, you did put him first overall because he's a good-looking man. Is that one of the reasons?
A contributing factor. Though.
It's a contributing factor. It's almost as bad as the baseball Moneyball clip.
No, I disagree with you a bit there.
Oh, you're saying it's worse. Yeah, makes sense. Sounds better.
All right, Daniel, second overall in the 2003 NHL draft.
Oh, second, I am going. Wait, is the order Alex and then me, or are we just gonna go in a rotation?
Okay, Daniel, I don't know if you've noticed, but like what I try and do is I'll be like, okay, Adam, Alex, Daniel.
Okay,
he just changes things up.
But what you've done is just thrown a wrench in that. And now the listeners I'm exposed.
Oh, no, don't worry. It's just making sure. We'll keep going with it, just as long as we know the order.
Thank you.
Yes, okay. Second, I have Ryan Getzlaf.
Okay, good.
Of course.
Yes, consistent, power forward that's transitioned into the new NHL really well. Great leader, I think. He has come up through the Ducks system, kind of showed that he has become like a cornerstone guy. I really think for what he's been able to do, even when the season kind of went how it went this year for them, or even last year as well, he's been like that guy for them.
That's fair. Alex,
at second overall, I have Shea Weber. Pretty
good man.
The last 3 years. I mean, this year, I guess, was a little bit of exception because even though he did have injury issues, but he still played, obviously, he did have a really good year. But the last 2 years, with I think it was his foot, right, Adam, and his knee?
Yeah. It's more like ankle stuff. The knee injury was was in Nashville in the playoffs versus the Blackhawks.
Right. Okay, so he's had injury issues the last couple of years, but even at that, he was traded from Nashville. It seemed like, oh man, Nashville really won that trade because PK is PK. And I think Shea Weber really, especially this year, said, hey, I am still that. Honestly, I think you could argue he's a franchise defenseman.
Yeah, I think so.
Right, Adam?
Hey, listen. When we go to number 3, I may have a lot to say about a certain Shea Weber.
Okay, so then I'll skip my jibber jabber. Adam will do that at number 3.
My number 2 is also Ryan Getzlaf because of all the great players we talk about, Patrick Kane, Alex Ovechkin. We never talk about Ryan Getzlaf, and I think it's because he's in Anaheim. But he's the reason Corey Perry has a Hart Trophy. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna to the day I die, I'll die on that hill. But Ryan Getzlaf has been such a dominant player, and he's still putting up decent numbers when he's been healthy. So I think really, Daniel, you put it very well as to why Ryan Getzlaf should be second overall. And then while I'm here, I'll go third overall and talk about a man that has won the hardest shot multiple times in the All-Star game, was the former captain, or is the former captain of the Nashville Predators, current captain of the Montreal Canadiens. He is what a defenseman should be, that he has the offensive touch, big shot, but at the same time he's physical and he can actually play defense. I'm, of course, talking about Shea Weber. I had him second, then I put him down because I thought I was maybe being a bit too biased. What's never been really talked about was his community work. He is just a fantastic player, great person. Apparently, he's a very, very strong, checks with the guys every day, during the season to see how they are, that type of dude. Not Mike Babcock levels of obsessive, but yeah, I don't know what else there is to say about Shea Weber other than every generation of hockey fan can appreciate how good he is. Brian Burke can be like, I love him, he plays the game hard. And then we can be like, he's safe, offensive ability, all this type of stuff. So Shea Weber, number 3 for me. Alex, why don't I steal your thunder a bit with your Shea Weber bit? Who do you have third overall?
Number 3, I have Patrice Bergeron. The 4 Selkies, he's probably, I think there might be an argument to be made about Pavel Datsyuk being the best two-way center of this generation.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Patrice Bergeron really pushes that to the limit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think obviously he's still playing. Well, both of them are still playing, but Patrice is still in the NHL. And even after that, just even that line, think about that line, and yeah, he centers that line, and you think maybe if you look at that line, you'd say maybe he's the third guy on that line, but.
And then you're talking about the perfection line of Marchand, Pasternak.
Yeah. You think, hey, you have Pasternak, you have Marchand, and then Bergeron's kind of the last guy if you think about, but that guy's back and forth, just absolutely dominant.
Daniel, before I go to you, would you happen to have said the same player for number 3?
Number 3, I had Shea Weber. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. Before I throw it to you, I want to say one more thing on Patrice. Even Brad Marchand said, "I'm not going to bite the hand that feeds me," and it's Patrice Bergeron's ability to be a great two-way player that lets Pasternak and Marchand do what they do best. But sorry, you have Shea Weber at number 3, Daniel.
I think, best defenseman in this entire draft. We had a lot of concern. We talk about how dominant he was with Nashville. He was their cornerstone guy. And, we had a bit of reservations when he went to Montreal, but he still has, come back from injury. I was very surprised after 2018 he could come back, still be a fixture on their defense, but also, what we always talk about before is that leadership quality he brings to the team.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that I think, honestly, I don't think Nashville even has replaced yet.
That's fair. That's very fair. I will take all the praise for my captain that I can. But Daniel, while you're here, while you're in the office getting a haircut, maybe we'll touch up the mustache as well. Tell me who do you have fourth.
Number 4, I have Patrice Bergeron. Same things Alex said. He's, he has the awards. He's been able to be that one of the best, arguably one of the the best two-way center. I think currently that he continues to get better with age. I think it's just one of those players that I remember I doubted him. I remember for the Vancouver Olympics, I'm like, this guy should not be on the team because
Boston.
Because he did not put up the numbers. I think that a guy who should make Team Canada makes it. He was injured the year before, but he proved me wrong. He kept getting better as the years went on, along with the Bruins, who have somehow stayed so consistent. He's so perfect for their system.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Alex?
At number 4, I have Ryan Getzlaf. Pretty much the same reasons that Daniel talked about, and as well that you talked about. I don't think a lot of people talk about him. Just obviously, not many people talk about Anaheim. Even when they were dominant, right?
Mm-hmm.
You think about, going on that California road trip was an absolute nightmare. but right, you thought about LA, you thought about going against San Jose, but then there was Anaheim. No offense, Daniel. I apologize for bashing your team.
That's okay. No, don't worry.
It was always the Sharks just have so much to them, and what they were with Prime Thornton, Marlowe, Burns when he started turning on, the great defensive play of Marc-Andre Vlasic, and then you were the Kings, who I don't need to tell you about Kopitar and Doughty. And then what you don't really think about is, if you want to talk about the bang and crash of the West, I don't think anyone epitomizes that more than Corey Perry and Ryan Getzlaf. A guy on a plane? I don't know. Just two really good, physical, hard-working players who have a scoring touch.
Well, and I think you have to look at who built that team.
And
Brian Burke.
Brian Burke started his career. Actually, I was about to say a little earlier, but then no, never mind. He won a cup and had some good runs. Good GM for his time.
Well, yeah. Who was before? Well, Brian Burke pushed the team to the next limit. Now I'm trying to think, who was the GM before Brian Burke? Daniel.
It was Brian. It was Brian Murray. That's kind of an argument people have where he's the one who kind of drafted like Getzlaf and Perry.
Right.
Like people are like he built that foundation, but like I think it was Brian Burke who really knew how to, bring up these young guys, but also like add in. I don't know, like it just worked out so well for him. Like he was able to sign, Kunitz,
right,
Penner, and then he brought back Solane, and then he got Scott Niedermayer and Chris Pronger. So like it's just all these things just kind of happened. I just kind of wish it happened. No, he kind of attempted the same thing with the Leafs. We're trying to add balance the youth and the veterans, but
Cole Denore, Fraser McLaren.
Now this is Brian Murray who ran the Sens, right? The late great one that Brian Murray has so much respect for. And again, look at what he was able to do with the Sens, and then from his passing, kind of the tailspin the Sens had. Fourth overall, I have a player that it's very weird that as someone who got into the sport at 2014, I came in at a time where this player was very much on the down part of his career, and there were a lot of questions surrounding him. Then he scored 40 goals in the Minnesota Wild, and we all remember that Eric Stahl is a very good player and was for a very, very long time a Stanley Cup champion. I have Eric Stahl at number 4. We'll go on to number 5, though, and I talked about this guy a little bit earlier in regards to Ryan Getzlaf and the Ducks. I have Corey Perry because he's got to watch my language here. I never would like to play a game against Corey Perry for multiple reasons. And I don't think either of us, I would love him on my team, but I hate him on any other team, guys. Who do you have, Alex, at number 5?
Number 5, I have Brent Burns.
Really? Okay. Very high in my opinion. Why Brent Burns?
Yeah, he started off, I guess, slow in Minnesota. But I think you look at his prime years in San Jose, and just how dominant, like how a part of that defense core he was before Karlsson was even there. He was their offensive defenseman.
Yes.
Right? Like now with Karlsson, it's think about when Karlsson came in, the predicament they were in and having to spread out those minutes.
Yeah, you talk about. I have his hockey DB up. Last year, when Karlsson showed up, Brent Burns had 83 points. Year before, 67, 76, 75, 60. Man, and he's one of those guys who he was a forward, then they turn around. By the way, 29 goals in 16-17. Pretty nice guy. Former World Junior guy, as you probably well know, Daniel. And hey, while you're here, Daniel DeManuel. Who do you have at number 5?
Number 5, I have Eric Stahl. I think a lot of people, like, sometimes, especially, like, they had that cup win in 2006, and then, they had those, I call them the drought years in Carolina, because they didn't make the playoffs. They made the playoffs, like, one time, I think, in, like, a 10-year span or something. Not 10-year span. Somewhere around there, but they were pretty bad. And, like, he was so dominant. Like, he had that 100-point season in 06, and then he was consistent to give you at least 70 points until 2013, where, even the lockout year, he had 53 points in 48 games. And then, when he was starting to tail off, he kind of like he brought it again in Minnesota. He kind of showed that he was still a valuable guy. Yeah, he played in every tournament I think imaginable. He's part of the Triple Gold Club for Canada. Funny thing, my dad met him with the Vancouver Olympics gold medal. That was cool. Wow. That kind of got some brownie points, I think. I had for Eric Stahl there. Super nice guy. So yeah, I have him here.
Hey, yeah. And again, just looking at his hockey. Can you guys see my screen, by the way?
Yep.
Just for some visual reference here, yeah. Just look at 17-18. All of a sudden, hi there, 42 goals. I'm Eric Stahl. I'm a decent little player here. Oh no! Ignore my list. Ignore that. Ignore it. Did we all say number 5?
Yes.
All right. Number 6, Daniel. Number 6. We'll go to Alex. Who do you have at number 6?
Number 6, I have Eric Stahl. I think you guys pretty much said it all, and I don't know what else to add. Like I think other than those 3 years. You look at 14, 15, 54. Then the year after, 39 points, and then literally as soon as he got to Minnesota, it was 65 points, 76 points. Had a weird year at 52 points, and then this year 47. And I think you have to look at the team he's on as well, right? You're not going to put up 100 points, 70, 80, 90, 100 points on a team like that.
Definitely. 1,000 points, 1,200 games played, and 46 points in 58 playoff games. He's a decent player. How about you, Daniel? How about you and number 6?
Number 6, I have Corey Perry. A lot of the stuff we talked about, he's, no matter what he looked like the last 3 or 4 seasons, still a fan favorite for me. He has the Hart Trophy, he's a Rocket Richard Trophy. He's been a consistent Olympian. You would be able to kind of like depend on him in all situations for the Ducks during their prime years. I don't know. He's just like a solid foundational guy. When we don't look at the Dallas year.
Yeah, we'll just ignore that.
Yeah.
So -2. Hey, look at that smile. He's got a weird smile. You fight me. Anaheim Mighty Ducks. You love to see. All right, number 6, guys, I have Ryan Suter. He's American, by the way. And with Ryan Suter, I think, ignore that I'm typing everything in caps, by the way. I look at Ryan Suter, right, and he is just as well as, he's not as good as Shea Weber, my humble opinion. But he is, I would argue, a very good top pairing defenseman. And you look at his numbers in Minnesota, especially a very, the epitome of Met in Minnesota. And again, I think because of his deal and how mediocre the Wild have been, we forget about Ryan Suter. Wisconsin guy, just like Cole Caulfield. You love to see it. Shout out to those 93 penalty minutes in university. You love to see it. And again, one of those fantastic defensemen that Nashville just love to run around. I really like Ryan Suter. Just the second best defenseman from this draft. Yeah. And then we'll go to number 7. And while I'm here, I'll just get going here. Joe Pavelski. This is a guy that this year has started to fall off a bit. Ignore my spelling. I'm just trying to get to the page. And you just look at his goal-scoring years by themselves. So many 30-goal years, a solid 40 year. They're one of the carousel of captains that the Sharks had. But again, one of those guys that had the nickname of Captain America. Great playoff numbers as well. And a center. And again, University of Wisconsin. You love it. A lot of great guys.
7th-round pick. Wow.
Yeah, which is the Sharks. They know how to draft. Recent year, Yeah. How about you guys? And who did you have at number 7?
I had Joe Pavelski as well.
And I feel like you don't need to explain why, or would you like to? No.
Well, I think this year he's been not this year. He's been the guy who just stands in front of the net.
Yeah. Adam is. I should have thought this. Oh yeah, his hand-eye has never been talked. Yeah. Everyone's like John Tavares is great in front of the net. Joe Pavelski has been doing that for years and no one talks about it. Also, he's got a white stick and it looks really, really nice.
Adam, I really like the ad on your screen right now.
Yeah, I mean, see, I realized I just thought strings. So I'm just
Oh my god! I just noticed.
Where were we, guys? If you want to see this lovely content, go check out the show's YouTube channel.
Right. I think I'm at number 7. Yes.
Can you make it full screen?
I know. I'm writing down my list. All right. We have some technical difficulties. Okay. Right. We're good. Sorry. Okay. So I said number 7. Alex and Daniel, you guys both need to say 7, right?
No, I said 7. I'm Joe Pavelski.
Yeah. You're number 7.
Oh yeah, I went with Brent Burns. Same thing we talked about. He hasn't really I don't know. He was like a middle of the pack kind of player on Minnesota until his last year. I remember when they traded him, like at the draft, like that trade. I'm like, what is Minnesota thinking?
Was that a Gucci deal?
Yeah.
Damn.
And then like the first round pick became Zach Phillips, who never made it to the NHL.
Nice.
The full screen working, right?
Pardon?
You guys see it's just hockey.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, what were you gonna say, Alex?
I thought Zach Phillips played in Ottawa. No, that's Chris Phillips. I am so sorry. Oh my god,
no problem.
I feel awful.
No, it's okay. Yeah, Zach Phillips was 28th overall in 2011. That was the pick the Sharks gave away, and then he never made it to Minnesota. He was traded to Boston for Jared Knight, and now I don't know where the both of them are, to be honest.
He's still playing.
Which one, Zach Phillips?
Yeah,
Where is he now?
In Slovakia.
Okay, I thought he was gonna still be on like the Bruins.
No, he was playing. He played with 3 different ECHL teams, and then he's said Slovakia. So.
Okay. But yeah, looking at the trade, I don't know what Minnesota was thinking of at the time. Brent Burns has really, when he has, gone to his prime, he's really got into his prime. I think he's become one of the best, and, he has a Norris Trophy to show for it.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right. Who do you guys have at number 8, starting with you, Alex?
I have Corey Perry at number 8. Obviously, this year, 16 points in 57 games. Not the same Corey Perry we expect. Even last year, I think he was injured. Right, Daniel? Injured?
Yeah, he back and forth. Like, if Getzlaf was not in the lineup, Perry would be. So, like, they would never actually play together.
Right. It just seems the last few years, many years, has kind of been down for Corey Perry. But other than that, the guy seems like, for his time, seemed like that's exactly what the NHL was. And he threw his body around, and he put up points.
Look at those penalty minutes, by the way.
Yeah.
180.
1,180 penalty minutes. Just awesome.
All right, Daniel, who do you have number 8?
Number 8, I have Ryan Suter. I think he's so underrated, to be honest. Even when he's like at this age, like he has absorbed so many minutes for Minnesota, and he's been so healthy through it all. Like he puts up the numbers. He's been like a steady presence for them, and I think like if not for Mikko Koivu, I would have picked him as captain.
Yeah, you got to give it to Miku, eh? You got to love those brothers of Habs. For number 8, I have, and I think this is a bit of an unpopular one, as hopefully I can spell it right. Don't buy Booglian. I have Dustin Byfuglien, former Brandon Wheat King and Prince George Cougar. The thing with Big Buff is that he's not an offensive guy as much as the others are. A guy like Brent Burns maybe. Not much of a two-way force as a Shea Weber or Ryan Suter. But with Big Buff, there is no more of a unique physical player as him. Maybe a bit too many of the Pims, 120 a few years ago. But beside that, and we're going to ignore last year, okay? Pretty healthy dude as well. Got some 20 goals. He's another one of those. Man, 2003 was the year of forwards turned into defensemen, by the way. And I love Dustin Byfuglien's attitude of, I'm going to do what's best for Dustin Byfuglien, because we need more people like that in the NHL. And I think he's not a big personality guy, but he has one that I think is pretty funny. And again, a physical specimen. There are no players quite like Dustin Byfuglien in this league. That was everyone's good for 8, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, number 9, Daniel. Who do you have?
Number 9, I have Jeff Carter. Up until I think the last 2 years, he has been a pretty solid centerman. He's won. He's been at the Olympics, the World Juniors. He's been at every level. He's been able to win. He's not the highest scorer per se. Like he had, I think, pretty high numbers in Philadelphia, but since then he's, comfortably, like I'd put him as a second line center, but like a really good second line center.
I think it's very fair. How about you, Alex?
At number 9, I have Zach Parise.
Okay.
I think, his...
Tell me more about Zach Parise.
His New Jersey years. Comes in, 32 points, then goes 62, 65, 94, 82. Has I'm assuming, injured season, only puts up 6 points in 13 games. And then 69 points in 82 games. And then signs with the Minnesota Wild for $1 bajillion. And if you want to call it inconsistent, I think he's still been pretty darn good. Everyone loves the guy in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Right? So, and they're just an interesting group of people in Minnesota with this team. And for him to be consistently loved must say something.
Yes. I mean, I look at him, he's 35. I also have Parise at number 9. He's consistent. Even in 16-17, if he was a bit more healthy, he was going to score 20. On pace to get nearly 30 in 17-18. Didn't know he played one game with Iowa. That's pretty funny. And then you look at the past years in Minnesota, 20, nearly 30 goals again last year, and maybe this year if it gets hot. He's making that deal worth it, which is amazing. It's just... but Parise is not a superstar, but he's just a damn good... He's kind of like Max Pacioretty. Except he's had a bit more luck scoring Zach Parise than me. Right. And Minnesota boy, so you love to see it. And we'll round off with number 10, and I'll get us started here. I have Ryan Kesler, because this is a guy that the past few years, I think we've all kind of laughed at. Not because of him being hurt, but just because, like, remember that whole thing with Ryan Johansson? It was like, you're taking yourself a bit too seriously. But this guy may not have the points that some other guys do. And it's a shame he only has one Selke, but this guy has indeed had some decent offensive years with the Canucks. He was a big part of their success, and he can score some damn good goals. So Ryan Kesler, for me, big fan, even though he's Mr. Grumpy.
And he posted a picture of his hip on Twitter.
Yeah.
I wish I never saw that.
Well, Daniel,
I didn't realize what it was.
To get your mind off of his hip, Daniel, why don't you tell me you have 10th overall?
All right. This was a bit of a toss-up, to be honest. Because, like, I already mentioned, I put this guy in the honorable mentions, but I've always been a fan favorite of him, but he doesn't make it, so this is just a build-up for who I picked.
Yeah,
but yeah, I before the show, I had Brent Seabrook at 10.
Hey, the horse.
Yes, I love the guy, but I had to go to Ryan Kesler here as well. I think he's a center. He's been really consistent before the injury years. He has that Selke trophy, and yeah, I don't know. Like, it's pretty funny. I did not like Ryan Kesler at all, and then I was just neutral with him when he came to Anaheim.
What a beautiful man! Look at that beard. And meanwhile, you mentioned him. Let's look at the Seabiscuit himself, Brent. Alex, who do you have at number 10?
At 10, I do have Brent Seabrook.
Hey.
Let's not forget 3-time Cup winner. And, it's not like he was just some guy like Chris Kunitz on the team. He was actually useful.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, I said it. I said it. I don't feel bad.
So the show.
I don't feel bad.
All right, anyway, go on. Talk about Brent Seabrook.
He was, you know what? This year, has not been the same, even last year. But it's fine, he didn't put up the points, but him and Duncan Keith, those were the guys in Chicago. Yeah, you had Nicholas Hjalmarsson. Was Dustin Byfuglien a forward or defenseman? Which one was he?
Oh, he was a forward that year.
Great
Okay, he was
question.
a forward,
Yeah.
so he wasn't a defenseman. But those just two guys, Keith and Seabrook, were the defensive men in Chicago.
I think that's fair. I mean, just don't mind me while I quickly grab Chris Kunitz. And
I like the spelling. I keep reading your spelling.
What do you mean?
It's just funny. It's like Stobley Coop.
Beautiful. That he's got a few more too. Let me just double check.
Yeah, double check how many points he puts up. Let's see. Jeff Tavares. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, what
Yeah,
a shame.
yeah.
7 years to get it done. No.
Yeah.
Wait, let's just look up. Many people did light kill. Please ignore the anime stuff there. Did.
I forget. How many useless players have won Stanley Cups? How many useless players? Daniel, who was the most useless player on the Anaheim Mighty Ducks in 2006?
Brad May.
Biggest number, 0 or 4.
Brad May, but yeah. At the time, was he a useless player?
I mean, he was already like bottom six guy. He was like in and out of the lineup all the time.
Okay, who?
And I remember yeah.
I'll
Look at
pull.
that.
He thinks it hurts. I've heard it so much. I've heard David Ayres so much. It doesn't even hurt anymore.
I'm having
You're numb to it.
I'm numbed. You remember, it was all over campus, right? So this means all nothing to me. But if I pull up Chris Kreider, I know that will get Adam upset.
What are you talking about? I just have a picture of a baby beaver up.
Yeah,
Adam.
sure. You didn't have David Ayres up before. The YouTube video won't show that.
This beaver is so upset. It's like its parents have abandoned him, but what he's really upset about is the lack of respect for Chris Kunitz.
I don't care about Chris Kunitz.
Do you care about this baby beaver?
No. I don't. And I don't feel bad at all.
Let me just, hold on. How do I get out of here? No.
Oh my god.
Hold on. No. Hold on.
Settings. What did you do?
Hey.
There we go.
I'm back. What's up? All right. I think we're done.
Oh my god. Did everyone give their number 10?
We did.
I really
Perfect.
hope so.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Hey, Daniel, how about you do the outro?
You know what, guys? You do it.
Okay. If you like this episode of the 2-on-1 podcast, make sure you leave a review. If you're watching it on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. You know what? Hit the like button. Leave a comment. Even if it's mean, I'll read it. I don't feel bad.
We'll read it.
You see, I saw a baby beaver, and I didn't even feel bad. Okay, I'll take your comment. Make sure you check out, if you're not watching on YouTube, make sure to check out the YouTube page, check out the Instagram page for the podcast, as well as our social media. Everything will be down in the description down below. And Adam finally came out with this 18 minutes. Is that how long it was? 18-minute video of Alex Romanov, Andrei Markov, and the 2014 playoff format. So make sure you go check that out.